Welcome back, Cyber Unfiltered. Bob,
hello, everybody.
Hey. We had a long green room this time, a little bit longer than normal.
45 minutes.
Almost forgot to hit record.
yeah, really. The Mythos stuff. Let's talk a little Anthropic for a second. Mythos getting like canned by the government. Thoughts?
Mixed feelings.
It
sounded like there were some actual security concerns, but there always are.
I did a little bit of it, a dive into it, and similar things could actually be done on ChatGPT and Gemini, and they didn't get banned. I think it comes back to.
So it's scary.
Yeah, I think it comes back. I think it might come back a little bit to the whole Department of Defense things. The interesting part, though, is when they enacted the Export Control Reform Act, when they executed that, they basically banned Anthropic and a lot of Anthropic employees from using it, which is kind of entertaining because they have a lot of foreign nationals that work with inside of Anthropic developing the tool, and then they do that, and it's like, well, can they use it? Like, because they work for us.
New tools, new problems. New gray areas.
Yeah. So I know with the G7 that's going on right now, there's a lot of talk, and there's a lot of companies are scared because like if they adopt Anthropic models into what they're doing, and suddenly a government just shuts it down, they're screwed. So it kind of goes back to we need AI regulation done in Congress, and it needs to be applicable to everybody.
And there needs to be a process, because the idea of embedding a tool into your operations and just losing it in a day, I mean, that can destroy an economy.
Yeah, right. You don't just overnight decide that, hey, we're going to ban it today, right? There needs to be a process. It needs to be a law. It needs to be established in Congress, and there needs to be I would love for them to set up experts to look at the models, test the models, and then just report back. Right? Set up, get people that are AI experts from universities and things like that, and that are in the industry, have them make their own opinions on it, and maybe a model has to wait 30 days before getting released. But then
is 30 days even enough? Is 30 days even enough time for them to really put it through appropriate testing to really understand what's going on? Because there's been holes in software forever, and
sure, but I mean, if it's better.
I'd say it's better than zero, though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You got to start somewhere. But I agree, it's probably not enough.
It's a fine line. I was gonna say it's a fine line between stifling innovation and safety.
Sure.
Right. And if you want to go one step further, if you start looking at some of the laws that are coming out around social media, you saw that Australia had banned social media under 16 years of age. It looks like the UK just passed a law to do that too. How long before that's cascading throughout the world, to where social media literally they have to age gate, and they can't give social media to people under 16?
I don't hate that.
That's okay. On that same note, did you see the UK also is banning the sale of any tobacco products going forward to anyone that's 17, 18 or younger, or younger right now? So, and next year it moves up to 19. So basically, anyone born between whatever the date was is banned from purchasing tobacco products forever.
Don't hate that either, but that's an opinion.
Yeah, I don't hate it either, but I'm just saying and it's not like you can't do it. They're just saying you can't buy it.
Yeah.
So it's a regulation.
Slow it down.
Pushing out.
Oh, so you'll phase it out over this is decade. That's a decades phase. That's a multiple decades phase out.
Don't get me wrong. I am a freedom of choice kind of person, but young people are idiots. I think of myself at 18, and I was a freaking idiot. So Well, I don't hate this.
I think the key here is, I think the key with all of this, and the point talking about social media, AI, tobacco even, is you need some regulation. You need smart regulation. And for something that's like such an early industry, a lot of people don't use AI to the fullest extent, and they won't. And a lot of this is for early adopters, things like that. But like, we need regulation, and everybody has to know the rules. When nobody knows the rules, it's chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, it's chaos. Look at Apple. Apple's a good example. They are going to have for iOS 27 coming out this year, they're going to have a local model. It's called a SLM, or a small language model, on the phone. So Siri is actually not going to suck, allegedly. And then it'll use a custom Gemini. It'll use a custom Gemini to go out to the internet and stuff like that. They're not implementing that in the EU, because the EU put regulation in saying that, hey, if you do that, you have to open up other providers to doing the same thing. I don't like that regulation. That's too far. Which maybe it's too far, maybe it's not. They want freedom of choice in the EU, and I kind of understand that. But like, we want to make sure that we're being smart about it. And I know people are going to argue the government's not good at this. I get that, but you still need some rules of how the game is played to protect the masses.
Mm-hmm.
And even 30 days, even if you say 30 days is long, if we go 60, 90, the problem is you stifle innovation. And the problem with that also is there's no guarantee at 60 days, you're going to find it, 90 days, you're going to find it. I mean, look, we're finding vulnerabilities that are 20 years old. So you find vulnerabilities that are 10 years old, 20 years old. Like, so they could have tested for 10 years and it would never found it.
Sure. Exactly.
Yeah. So we just got to, but we got to have something.
Well, and I think your analogy of just saying we've got to know how the game is played. Everyone needs to know what set of rules we're playing by. You know, I was playing Uno with my kids the other day.
Yep.
And they make up rules. Like, they have like, I don't know. They have rules I've never heard of. And I'm sitting there with my wife and we're like, that is some bullshit. You made that up. But apparently that's how all the kids play. Point is, it's hard to play a game or run a business in an environment where you're playing by different sets of rules, and not everybody understands the process and what you can and can't do. So, and rules can be changed, but they need to be agreed upon.
Or you find out a regulation, some new government regulations are coming out that no one even heard about, and say, "Oh, next week you got a problem."
I believe that's actually going to be the case here shortly, isn't it?
That is the case.
Mm-hmm.
I think to what your point, to what you guys said, policies are great. We need the principles. We need the boundaries. We need the rules of the game. And then we need the procedures of how you play the game. That's as simple as it gets. It works. It works for business. It works for cybersecurity. It works for regulation. You just got to be smart about it. But you don't want to stifle the business. And you don't want to stifle like innovation. So we'll see. I don't think the social media thing is going to go too far here. I think there's too many people, although there are states suing places for social media. So we'll see. But I do think there needs to be, I do think there needs to be regulation around social media and age. And I think there needs to be to protect younger people. And I don't think the onus is always on the parents, because kids they will find a way. So the platforms,
industry, and I can't keep up with them. It's impressive.
The platforms need to be held responsible as well, right? So, and if you don't agree with that, cool. Let us know. Comment down below. Give us your opinion, because obviously this is just our opinions. So you're free to disagree with us. But our lead story for this week, which is the first time I ever said that, was kind of funny.
Breaking news.
It's not really breaking news, but like, it's a lead story. It's called the Silent Ransom Group. We're just going to say SRG from now on. It's a little bit easier. There's a funnier name for it called Chatty Spider, but we'll stick with SRG. Everybody worries about ransomware, right? They're going to crypt my files, or they worry about getting their email compromised, things like that. What about if they don't do any of that? What if they just use legitimate tools to steal your data and then hit you with a ransom? And if you don't pay it, they go to your customers.
Old school ransom.
Yeah, straight up old school. But The bigger, I guess, differentiator here is how they do it. Some of his phone calls, posing as IT, trying to get people to actually load a legitimate tool on their computer that wouldn't be stopped by any kind of antivirus or any kind of EDR, endpoint detection response, because it's a legitimate tool. And then they go from there and they use legitimate tools to steal the data. Or if that doesn't work, they hire somebody to come in and pose as IT and just plug a USB device into one of your computers.
Mm-hmm. So I think this is why the green room was so long. We were kind of talking about how old tricks are the best tricks sometimes. And we have all these new, protections and EDR and SOCs and things like that, but you can't lose sight of, just old school. And that's kind of hard sometimes because we keep adding layers, but the old layers are still important.
These guys still need to use these tools for to run the business. So it's it's unusual activity that has to be watched for, things like that. And we just saw with a client that came along where it wasn't from this group, but same idea is that their web guy had a website that was misconfigured and allowed the bad guys to download all the data. Same instance. None of the tools found anything because the website did what the website does.
Mm-hmm.
Configuration issues are one of the biggest things that people see. Example would be, look at the S3 buckets from Amazon. If you screw up the configuration, you can make it public. We've seen that a lot.
Yeah.
Same thing to what Bob just said. Anybody that can publicly find that address can just go there and take all the data. I think the interesting things about these guys is they've only been around since 22. But the physical infiltration tactic is brand new. It just started last year. So they're adapting to the environment. They realize that we're putting more tools in place. We're putting more controls in place to stop them from doing what they want. But if they can walk in and they can get physical access to a device, game over.
Mm-hmm.
It's back, it's back to a people issue, a control. People are letting people walk in the front door and they look legit. It's like, oh, here's the server room, go at it. And if I show up and say I'm here to make your internet run faster, most people let them in.
Mm-hmm.
The FBI actually put a flash warning out about this, and this is how it historically how it started. An SRG actor would send a phishing email, purportedly to charge a small subscription fee to gain access to the victim's networks. To cancel the fake subscription, the victim was instructed to call the threat actor, who then emailed the victim a link to download remote access software. That's how they used to work. Now they use the social engineering scheme to pose as an employee from the IT's from the victim's IT department. They either directly call or send a phishing email to urge employees to call the SRG actor posing as IT. While on the phone, they direct the employee to grant access to a remote desktop session. If that attempt fails, they send a threat actor to the victim's location to gain access. That's the physical pose as IT, to insert a storage device into the victim's computer. In this scheme, the threat actor tells the victim they need to image the device or create a backup file to address the potential impacts from the phishing email. So they reference the email that was sent while going on site and telling them they got a backup. And you know what? That makes perfect sense to a user.
It does.
Perfect sense.
It does.
Yep. And once they gain access to the computer, they try to use a couple of tools to exfiltrate data. And if that doesn't work, they'll use internal file sharing tools like Google or OneDrive. They'll just produce a bunch of sharing links and just download the data.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they just send somebody to your office. So the FBI is actually, it's interesting what the FBI is doing. They're actually asking people for a copy of the ransom note, the phone number and email accounts used by the threat actor, transcripts of communications if you have it, the original callback message or phishing email, cryptocurrency wallet information, and actually any video information you have of the IT people the individuals posing as IT. So they want surveillance videos, photos. They're actually asking for this. So
whatever you got.
The last I saw, this is about 140 companies, at least at this point. The biggest thing here is, how do you operate with your IT? Right?
How do you verify?
How do you verify them? Exactly. Is there a badge system? Is it something that you verified their identity when they showed up on site? That you scheduled it yourself and your identity was verified to make sure you're actually calling the right people? Like, how did that work? So my question to you is, Matt, let's go with you. You said old school tactics work, right? When you hear this, what's your gut reaction when you first heard this?
It reminded me of the old days of reading about Kevin Mitnick, where he would call and just look. We've all met him. He's a very outgoing, fun person to talk to, and he used that skill when he called the front desk, and he used that to get to the next level and the next level, and the next thing you knew, he's in your phone system, making all the long distance calls he wants to. And it was the very, very, very early days of hacking, and it was mainly social engineering, and that's their entry point here.
RIP, by the way, for him.
What's that?
So, RIP for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, I know. I liked him. He
yeah.
And to be clear, for those that don't know who Kevin Mitnick is, he was a pretty young guy when he did this. He was really turned on by learning how things work and things like that. And he wasn't necessarily trying to be malicious. And he ended up being one of the good guys long term, who literally helped train people like us on how to prevent what he used to do. And he passed away, unfortunately, a few years ago.
Yep. I love that. I want to ask you guys a question. You guys haven't seen this yet. What do you think the ransom was? Let's move on to this. What do you think the ransom was for once they steal all your data?
I have no idea, because I feel like I'd look at the data first if I were them and value.
Remember, law firms are their main target right now. Financial firms in the past, but law firms are their main target right now. Where do you think the ransom starts?
Then I'm going with $1 million.
It's going starting at $1 million.
Yep. Starts at $1 million, goes to about $8 million per victim.
And it's all negotiable.
Yeah. They have about 140 firms, 38 are law firms. So Bob, for the business owners are thinking, well, I'm not a law firm. Maybe I'm a services firm or a manufacturing company. Like, do I have anything to worry about? Be worried about in this case?
Absolutely. The bad guys getting into one PC, compromising your email, and downloading the data that you've got sitting on that network. Now, do you want them reaching out to all your clients? What kind of contractual obligations do you have to protect the data, and what kind of notification requirements do you have both with the state and with the clients that their data has been compromised? It's crazy. And it goes back to that old school thing. If the bad guys get physical access to anything, you're going to lose it.
Mm-hmm.
Their target, like you said, has mostly been law and like financial services. Manufacturing hasn't been hit with this, but I did have a manufacturer hit with another attack where they were using Teams to try to get people to install remote access software. So this isn't the only group using this tactic. It's something that if they find their success, guess what? People are going to mimic it.
Yeah. And I think the biggest takeaway is they're not really using hacking tools in this case. Teams is something you can share your screen on and take control over, and most businesses use to some extent. So they're using your tools basically.
And how many companies that we deal with are, when you go into a prospect, how many people actually know what software is installed in their computers and what should be blocked?
That know the whole picture? Zero that I have ever seen. None, not one.
So I was at an event the other day, and a woman comes up to me and goes, "Oh, I don't have a problem, right? I don't. If my computer's not on the internet, I'm okay." And what she really was saying was, if I don't have Chrome or Internet Explorer open, my computer's not on the internet, right?
None of the software you have installed is talking to the internet, right? Nothing.
She had no clue. She literally thought that as long as she didn't have Chrome open, her computer wasn't on the internet.
But Chrome is the internet.
That's it. It's back to that AOL dial-up mentality.
I don't say that to insult the average user, but it does make us giggle a little bit because it's back to, in the old days, it was Internet Explorer was the internet and AOL was the internet. So I keep coming back to like old tricks are the best tricks. It's old habits.
Yeah.
My mom still thinks AOL is the internet. Where you ask an expert?
So let's talk about this. How do you combat as a business? How do you combat this physical infiltration? Right. So
know your people, train your people, and train your people to question things if someone's coming in the door. If you don't know that person, if they don't have a badge, badges can be made, but validate and make sure that if the IT guy's coming in, that it's scheduled.
And know your vendors. Absolutely.
You should know the name of the person coming on site. You should know what company they're from, and they should be able to prove who they are, right? But we've seen that before. People just walk in and they just act like they own the place and they can walk around and do whatever they want. So
yeah.
And
even the guys the guys that do windshield repair, they send out a tech, but that email and text message has a photo of the guy that's coming.
Yeah, I like that. When companies do that.
Cool.
I'll take this one step further. You could test this really easy. Have somebody that you know or somebody that most of your staff doesn't know, and just have them come in and say, I'm from IT. I need to update your machine. See how many people let them plug something in.
Yeah.
This is a re-education thing at that point, right? You go in there and you can then re-educate them and say, hey, guys, we can't just let people, this is the process for how we validate people coming in. And then go through that process. But yeah, it's really easy to test. Then we can kind of see where you're at. So I think
it's almost worth hiring somebody for a day to go do that.
Yeah, no,
it really is.
That's our next business venture, guys. We're just gonna send random people into businesses for them for X amount and see what we can get away with.
No, but in all seriousness, it's like secret shopping, and secret shopping is a business service. Those secret shop Macy's gyms make sure employees are checking them out right, giving the right specials, things like that, and report back. This is the same thing, but at a business to business level. I like it.
Yeah, so let's let the playbook. Let's finish up with the playbook. Number one, establish an IT identity verification protocol. Right, you should have a protocol how to identify somebody. Not even just IT. How about just vendors in general? You should have a way to do that. You should have a visitor protocol for your company. Does a visitor get escorted throughout the building? Like, whether they claim to be from IT or for the phone company or copier or whatever. Because the person might not even say they're from IT. What if they say they're here for the printer?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So they should be able, they should show ID. You should have the visit confirmed by a manager. You should have some sort of thing. And next, we got to get USB port control under wraps. There's no reason why in 2026, somebody should be able to randomly plug a USB storage device into your computer and have it work.
Mm-hmm.
That should be controlled. We said awareness training, right? Train your staff. Train them to recognize things like this. So when you hear a story like this, go back to your staff and train them and say, hey, look, this is something I heard about. We got to make sure that we have these protocols in place. And see if you, and if you're really advanced, if you're really got a good IT company or cybersecurity company, they should be able to block or detect legitimate tools that they're legitimate tools, but they're not tools that should be installed in your network, like AnyDesk or SplashTop or other remote tools. I'm not picking on them. They're just examples. They should be flagged or blocked from being installed if they don't fit what you're using today. So there's a little bit of a playbook about that. You guys got any parting advice?
Just know who's coming in your doors, really, guys, and don't be afraid to question into your environment, because it's a safety thing now too.
It's okay to be a little rude, hey, I'm going to call your company to verify. If someone knocks on my door and says, I'm from Columbia Gas, I'm here to replace your gas meter, I'd like to know if I wasn't given a heads up by the actual company I'm calling.
That's fair.
And don't call the number on the business card that the guy just handed you.
Yeah. Find that number elsewhere on your bill.
There you go. Yeah. Look at your bill. Yeah. Look at your bill. Go to your vendor's website. legitimate website and find that. So, all right, cool. All right. Hopefully nobody got hit by this. Let us know how you like this format. Let us know how you like that those talking points. If you've ever experienced this, let us know. If you want to talk about it, you're more than welcome to come on here and talk with us. But see you guys next week.
Cool.
Awesome. I guess have a good week.
Guys.
We'll see you next week.
Till next week.